Away! Hello? Hello, everybody? Hello? Hello? How's it going? Still says it's waiting for me, or not waiting for me. I'm here. I'm 3 minutes late, but I'm here. Let us post this stream where the people can see it. Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to Papa John's for a very limited time.
Go to Papa John's. I'm here. I'm 3 minutes late. Yo, we're live. How's it going, gang? Woo! Woo! We have another new player tournament for you today. Today it's hosted by Big JP. RTK's Big JP hosts Conquest Advanced Player and New Player Tournaments, Domination New Player and Advanced Player Tournaments every Saturday. It's apparently a smaller sign up today. Looks like we have 6 players, which means you out there watching could sign up. He hosts them every Saturday. Same time every week. Could pop in if you have the time, if you have the gumption, play with other new players. Don't worry about making mistakes. It happens. It happens, it happens, it happens. All right, so there's Swiss rounds. Usually there's 4. I only see 3 generated, so I don't know if, because there's less people, they're just doing 3 rounds, or if they're going to do all 4. We will find out, but as they do the Swiss rounds, we will cast random replays to fill time until finals. Then they'll do usually semifinals and finals, but with lesser players. I don't know if they just skip straight to top 2. We'll cast that game live. Usually this tournament doesn't have a pick and ban. Players just pick their favorite faction and play that through the whole tournament. Yes, 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 yes. Do I have other news? Other news? Playoffs just started for our Vermin League. Sweaty best of 3s on either land battles or conquest. These playoffs were delayed for about a month while we waited for a patch to arrive later than we anticipated, but those are off to the races now. If you want to get in on playoffs, you'll obviously miss this one because it already started, but just play in our Vermin League bot. It'll rank you on leaderboard, and whenever playoffs comes up, we'll ping you and everyone else around you in the leaderboard. And we usually divide them up by skill level. So if you lose a bunch or whatever, your playoffs will be with a bunch of other people who lose a bunch. So it should be more even competition. Should be fun. I'll be streaming the semifinals and finals of each of those on this channel. Don't know if I'll stream other stuff. I might. I haven't decided on that yet, but definitely semifinals and finals. But enough about other events that are not what we're here for today. We have some games. Looks like we have Khorne, Chaos Dwarfs, Khorne, Vampire Counts, and Bretonnia and Lizardmen for the faction selected today. And Bretonnia started off with a Green Knight game. Green Knight. Okay, okay, all right. Let's get into this one first. We have Fish versus World Ender. I must say, I am a big fan of Skulltaker right now. I don't think he's the best Lord. I think the best Lord is definitely Valkia. And I think the second best Lord is Scarbrand. But third best is between the Exalted Bloodthirster and Skulltaker. But I am enjoying Skulltaker a lot right now. He's been very fun to play with. I like his debuff a lot. Because I didn't realize when he first came out, a lot of the debuffs like his something target or whatever, the minus armor and melee defense, that's usually a Lord or Hero exclusive debuff. So I didn't really factor it that highly, but it can actually help a lot. Bloody Onslaught, there we go. It can help a lot with cab fights, especially if you want to take Chaos Knights, which I have been, because Skull Crushers keep disappointing me. Blood Crushers also disappoint me. Chaos Knights are solid, they just lack armor piercing. But if you get rid of 30 of that armor, and then minus 24 melee defense, even Chaos Knights can actually pack a bit of a wallop. So I've been enjoying Skulltaker. I usually take him on his Juggernaut, though, because I feel like his Chariot mount just loses too much combat stats, but it does have better mass, it has self-regeneration, things like that. Just loses some melee defense, some melee attack. But enough about what I like to do. Here we have Marauders of Khorne, Blood Beasts of Khorne, Skull Reapers, and the Bloodwake Berserkers, Wrathmongers, who got a bit of a nerf, but definitely still very strong. Minotaur's Grey Weapons on the back line, and then Skulltaker on his little chariot, as we mentioned at the start of the game. On the other side for the buffed Chaos Dwarves, Goblin Laborer frontline, those got no buffs whatsoever, but behind them are the units that actually did. All these blunderbusses have increased HP, and then the Blazing Beards and Infernal Ironsworn also have increased HP. Infernal Guard Fireglaives have increased HP. And then Bull Centaur Renders of Great Weapons are cheaper, and Astrogoth Iron Hand is bringing the buffed Ash Storm. It's just a little bit cheaper. Then it also has Flaming Sword of Ruin, Black Hammer of Hashut. Small map. So already Khorne has gotten into the front line. I honestly would skip Orc and Goblin Laborers altogether because you're just going to feed Khorne kills. But if you are going to take them, I do like putting them in this column formation. So it takes Khorne a long time to get those kills that they want. And they are just piling in for now. Chaos Orc Blunderbuss is firing at the Blood Beasts. Should be pretty good for them. Blood Beasts not particularly armored, but the Blunderbusses don't need you to be armored to do a lot of damage. As we can see here, the Blood Beasts are already gone, and the Marauders are also routing. So it's a pretty tough start here for Khorne. Though with all this shooting, you knew it was going to be a tough start for Khorne. It's just if they can win the long, drawn-out melee fight after. As the Skull Reapers crushing through the Orc Laborer front line. Orc Laborer's massive HP pool is not going to help them versus the forces of Khorne. And the Skull Reapers churn right through them. They're already moving on to the Blazing Beards. On the high ground, the Bull Centaur Renders are losing a fight against all these monstrous infantry of Khorne, but they are not supposed to win in melee. They are just holding these guys in place so that the Blunderbusses and the Infernal Guard Fireglaves on the low ground can fire uphill into all these monstrous units that are nice and tall and very easy to see and shoot. Now, we do have a problem where the Blunderbusses are blocking some of the Infernal Guard Fireglaves. You can see, as the Blunderbusses turn, more of these Fireglaves are getting shots off. They still say they're a little obstructed, but it's not too bad. Bounce power is very even. I personally would way rather be the Chaos Dwarves right now than Khorne. I feel like Khorne has taken a pretty terrifying amount of damage. Because we have some Infernal Ironsworn trying to stop Minotaurs, but there's not a lot of mass down here, so the Minotaurs can keep pathing through those Infernal Ironsworn and get onto the Blunderbusses that they actually want to be hitting. On the high ground, one Minotaur of Khorne did either just die or shatter. It looks like it's shattered. And the Blood Beasts are soon to follow suit. Still, the Bull Centaur Renders are holding, well, one of them. The other one's either dead or routed. It is shattered over there, so it's not coming back at all. Now, Skulltaker is running around in his chariot, regenerating a little bit as he is in melee, providing a couple buffs to nearby units, and getting rid of the Bloodwake Berserkers is going to be a bit of a trick for the Chaos Dwarves, so maybe I spoke too soon when I said I'd rather be the Chaos Dwarves in this situation, as things are about to go to hell very quickly. They're about to lose their other Blunderbuss. Infernal Guard now going to get stuck in melee with the Bloodwake Berserkers, which they do not want. They can maybe deal with Skulltaker, they can maybe deal with Minotaurs and Blood Beasts, because they are halberds, but they can't stop the Bloodwake Berserkers. These guys are far too elite and far too good at melee combat to be stopped by hybrid ranged halberds. Astrogoth's doing his best in here, but doesn't look like he has any infantry clearing spells. He just has various buffs for his own units, and yeah, that is looking to be the turning of the tide. Not enough damage left for the Chaos Dwarves. They got rid of all the monstrous stuff besides an almost dead Minotaur of Khorne, but a full health Bloodwake Berserker in the late game is gonna probably be too much, and they realize it too, surrendering at that point. In chat, a name I do not know how to pronounce says hi. Hi, friend. Hope you're doing well. Skull Reapers actually got more value than the Bloodwake Berserkers, but they also took more damage in the battle. That health bar is a little deceptive. I saw them in the actual game. They were about half or lower. So it's a little disingenuous to say since they have most of their models, their full HP. Most of the Khorne roster doing what it needed to. For World Ender, Laborers didn't get much value, though he didn't expect them to. Blunderbusses did pretty well. Oh, there were 3. I thought there were only 2, so one of them got shut down quickly. Infernal Guard did fine. Bull Centaur Renders didn't get a lot of value, but they did hold all of those monstrous units at that high ground where they could get shot for a while, so I feel bad saying that they did a poor job. I actually do wonder if Skulltaker is good here. Because how do you deal with Infernal Ironsworn? I mean, reducing their melee defense by 24 will be quite nice. Not as much the armor, you don't usually need that. You have a lot of armor-piercing infantry at your disposal, but just making them a little more hittable can be quite nice, so I like the Skulltaker pick. Watching while freaking out over missile chariots. Max Bridgel, why are you freaking out over missile chariots? What did they do to you? I'm a missile chariot hater. This is well known. Everybody knows my rage runs deep for missile chariots, but what did they do to you? Or are you using them and you're having a bad time? For our second game, we have Unlucky Spotify versus Hot Fiery Potato. As I save some more replays. Vampire Counts versus Khorne. This sounds like a terrible matchup for the Vampire Counts. It seems like you kind of have to blob, but Khorne's DLC gave them some very potent anti-blob tools, so I don't know how the Vampires can stand up. We'll see, but I'm concerned. For the Vampire Counts, they brought Fellbats, a buffed Terrorgeist, got increased mass, frontline of zombies, Crypt Horrors, and Skeleton Spearmen all along the backline. Then we have Vlad von Karstein with Wind of Death, Invocation Hack, and a Zombie Summon, and then a Mortis Engine for draining down the Khorne melee units. We also have the Dire Pack on the far side to try and run down Skirmish Cav. Khorne did not bring such weakness, however. Marauders of Khorne, Khorne Gores, Minotaurs with great weapons, Karanak to silence whatever Vampiric Lord is going to be casting the spells, and then an Exalted Bloodthirster with Deathbringer and his charge thing, whatever the heck this is, Bloodthirst. So the Bloodthirster is an incredible melee combatant. I did throw him in as possibly the third best Khorne Lord. He is very, very good. He doesn't have Scarbrand's Rampage, but he does have just crazy high melee stats and flying, which is quite nice. Karanak and the Bloodthirster both going after the Mortis Engine before it gets in range to drain down all of their melee infantry. You can see the Marauders of Khorne and the Minotaurs are just cleaving through zombies, which is a bit of a trick about this matchup. Normally you want zombies, because zombies are one of the most cost-effective chaff infantry in the entire game, but Khorne gets so many kills off them so quickly that honestly I would expect to see a Sword of Khorne here very soon. Like, that's how many kills they're getting. I think we get a Sword of Khorne before 2 minutes. I'm calling my shot now, and it would be huge to take out these two blobbed up Skeleton Spearmen and the Tithe, so no problem with it, unless he's already popped a Horn of Khorne, though you really don't need to do that versus the Vampires. Their melee stats are so low that Khorne can get through them anyway. Bloodthirster's back on the Mortis Engine. Dire Pack rear charge some areas, but they just get immediately mulched down, even though they're the ones doing the rear charging. It's pretty brutal. And I want to see that Sword of Khorne. It's just right there. Look at that Sword of Khorne target. It's right there. Ugh. 2 minutes came and went. Guess I'm just a big, dumb, wrong Banky. For the Vampire Counts, they have lost 600, almost 700 models. So you'd think they have that buff soon. This is what this matchup usually descends into, though, is just a blob fight, because the Vampire Counts can't spread out. So the best hope they have is to just out-blob Khorne as best they can. But again, Khorne's DLC gave them a lot of anti-blob killing tools, which is positive for the game, not so positive for Vampire Counts. Vampire Counts might stand a chance if they had a true armor-piercing cavalry unit they could take, but the fact that they can't go wide because Blood Knights just do so poorly against Minotaurs in combat, and Blood Beasts and the Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes who also apply fire damage to reduce your healing, that is a lot of problems for Blood Knights to deal with. You can go Vargeists, but still it's tricky. Khorne's just really good at cleaving through the undead. As the final blob fight is upon us, I think we are about to see Khorne's inevitable victory. The Mortis Engine is almost dead, and without that, the Vampire Counts have no chance. Karanak should be silencing Vlad about now. Yes, he is. There's no zombie summons, there's no healing, there's no nothing like that. Look at all these unit cards just right here. And still no Sword of Khorne. At this point, it would be a wasted effort. You have better Khorne infantry in the area that would take friendly fire than it's even worth to kill the zombies, but I did want to see one earlier. Terrorgeist diving in. Mortis Engine is dead, but they're going for maybe if Vlad and the Terrorgeist can take out the Exalted Bloodthirster, the leadership of Khorne will fail and leave them behind. We do have Minotaurs who have taken a lot of attrition damage. Some Marauders already routed, even though they have good HP, just because they're cowardly little Marauders. And Bloodthirster gets away. Soon Vlad will be out of support. You can see the Tithe fading away. Crypt Horror is getting incredibly low. Karanak's still just grinding it down. The Von Karstein ring is popped for a bit of damage resistance, though honestly, Khorne should be going for the Terrorgeist at this point. A zombie summon did come out for these Minotaurs, but they're just going to force path through them and get back into the main fight. Karanak needs to find his way closer to Vlad to make sure no spells come out. There is no real incentive for him to stay away from Vlad, so he's just got to get past all these Crypt Horrors and zombies and whatnot. Most of the skeletons are dead. Last Crypt Horror is almost dead, and this zombie summon is not even close enough to even contest. Once again, though, the Exalted Bloodthirster finds himself in combat with the Terrorgeist and Vlad at the same time. This could be a problem, because Vlad does cause terror, so if this guy dies, you see this Minotaur routing, Terror taking some of the Marauders, and all of a sudden Karanak's all alone. Could be a bit of a problem. The Exalted Bloodthirster is just going to peace out. No problem there. Again, Crypt Horror and one of the last real skeletons, real zombies faded away. So we just have this skeleton, which is actually about to disintegrate now. So it is just a summon, Vlad, and the Terrorgeist. Karanak's officially close enough. Vlad doesn't get to cast any more spells, and that'll be GG. pretty quick and brutal game. No, pretty quick and brutal. But that is how the matchup goes right now for the vampire counts. Khorne is just too buff at melee combat, which is not necessarily a bad thing for the vampires to withstand. So they kind of need more of a gimmick to fight back. And that gimmick used to be hard blobbing, but I can't pretend that I'm sad that they can't out-blob Khorne at the moment. The Bloodwake Berserkers are honestly the anti-blob tool I was thinking of. He didn't even bring them, but those guys can cleave through everything, even with a Mortis engine around. That, or they use their skull cannons. Also good. Even after the Hellforged Bellers was nerfed, I mean, it just got its range nerfed, which when you're shooting at melee units, big who cares. Still get the hits in. For our final two contestants who haven't been seen yet, we have Bretonnia and the Lizardmen. Bretonnia using the Green Knight and Triple Grail Knight versus, it looks like, a Dreadsaurian. Though this is not quite a Shredder of Lustria blob. That is just a feral Dreadsaurian, so you don't get the machine guns on its back firing in every direction. So we load up for Gordon Ramsay versus Rika Besto. I don't know if I recognize Rika Besto. Maybe they're brand new to us. Welcome, welcome if you're brand new. If you're not brand new, I'm sorry for not recognizing you. And we're already into game 3. For the Lizardmen, we have a Life Salon with Regrowth and Earthblood, and then a Rev Crystal for even more healing. Temple Guard and Legion of Chakwa with some Croc Scores and Jab Skinks to defend the Salon. Then we have a Feral Dreadsaurian. Then 2 Salamander units. One is the Ancient Salamander single entity, and the other is the Umbral Tide Regiment of Renown Salamander Hunting Pack. For Bretonnia, Triple Grail Knight I saw as we were loading in. The Fey Enchantress with just Earthblood. And then we have Peasant Bowmen, Peasant Long Spears, 2 Trebuchets, and the Green Knight was somewhere. Oh, we also have Pak Cohort hidden in the far side, while the Green Knight was hidden on this side. So both teams going for a bit of a sneaky. Now the Grail Knights are trying to ignore the Feral Dreadsaurian and go straight for the Umbral Tide, and the Umbral Tide are scampering right back to their Lizardmen troops. Legion of Chakwa coming out to help as the Grail Knights do get a bit of a charge on the Lizards, but the Lizards still just slithering away, and now maybe these Grail Knights are overextended as the Dreadsaurian is actually going to turn and try and take a charge on these other Grail Knights, hold them in place for just a second. Those guys decide, actually, maybe we should get out of here. Saving Private Umbral Tide actually went pretty well for the Lizards overall, about as well as they could hope. For Bretonnia, currently just holding back. They do have trebuchets to constantly poke down the elite halberds and spears of the Lizardmen, so why not get that value? And here we have the Green Knight taking a big old fight. Favor of the Fae, 100 melee attack for him as he's chasing down the Feral Dreadsaurian and getting constant free poke on its back. And I wonder if the Dreadsaurian turns and tries to fight the Green Knight, I wonder if these Grail Knights are about to turn around and rear charge him or something. But for now, it looks like the Green Knight just gets free value, slapping the Dreadsaurian in the butt until it rampages, which is actually very soon. It's soon going to rampage and fight him whether it likes it or not. Which honestly, at this point, you're taking so much damage, maybe you should just turn and fight him. Quick Rev Crystal will heal him up, get him past that point of rampaging, but someone has to do something about the Green Knight. This guy is just slamming this Feral Dreadsaurian. There it rampages, finally turns around. The Green Knight has already gotten 800 value from dueling this giant monster. Go Green Knight, go! Cold-Blooded is popped to get this thing some leadership and stop its rampage. Moving back with the team, again, leaving the Green Knight behind as the Green Knight's just gotten almost a free 800 value, and he's like, fine, I will keep poking you until you pay attention to me! Then he runs away, immediately betraying his oath and his promise. Boy, did you have any reaction to the dev blog? I mean, I did, like, in real life. I didn't post a video about it, because a lot of other content creators were, and I didn't see too much stuff. There was stuff. I don't want to be negative. There just wasn't enough for me to, like, post a whole video. Because I had predicted a while ago that it was going to be T'Challa, and if you doubt me, there was a video where I predicted every DLC coming up, and I was right about Slaanesh so far. I said Slaanesh, High Elves, Dark Elves for this next one, and so far we got Slaanesh. And the only Lord Slaanesh is really missing that I knew about was T'Challa, the Snake Lady of Ind. I wasn't shocked about that. And then I don't know about these Exalted Heroes. I just didn't know that unit existed on tabletop or whatever, but it doesn't surprise me they're going to reuse T'Challa's model, because if they worked really hard in the animation set, they usually try and recycle that stuff with a cheaper Exalted Hero version or a cheaper Lord version. Because, I mean, why not? That's just smart game design. If you're going to bother spending hours and money on animations, get what you can out of them. Did the green land get an update? Yes, yes. Got a cost decline, a cost decrease. D'Chala, yeah, I forget. I know D'Chala wasn't right, but I'm forgetting what is correct. Autumn Chan. I would have assumed D'Chala from how it's spelled. Anyway, the lizards did do a slow advance, and now they're coming through the trees so that they take less damage from these trebuchets firing in, and less damage from archers firing up at them. But they have finally gotten into the melee. Legion of Chakwa charging downhill into Grail Knights. Now the Grail Knights don't really want to stay in combat for too long, but they can get good charges off onto Legion of Chakwa, who are being held slightly back by Peasant Longspears, though a Dread Saurian behind the Peasant Longspears is going to make them rout. Goodbye, Spearmen at Arms. Goodbye. Pakapa cohort come ambushing out of the trees. As they do, great downhill charge onto the Grail Knights, getting a ton of value out. And the Fey Enchantress has Earthblood. She does not have regrowth, so we'll see if she can keep up with the healing needs of her team. Meanwhile, the Umbral Tide and the Salamander have a lot of work to do, making sure everybody is on fire so that they get half of the healing that they think they should. So the Umbral Tide need to be shooting. I don't know if they don't have Fire at Will on or something, but I don't know why they aren't firing just yet. They are going to spend their time shooting at this Field Trebuchet crew. I don't love that. They probably should focus on the elite units that are getting healing, as your Bestowed on Rev Crystal and your Pakapa cohort are starting to die. Feral Dread Saurian is in the fight, trying to grind through these guys. We still have the slow march of Halberds. Temple Guard trying to join the fight. Legion of Chakwa also getting lost in the sauce, or is their flag just up there? No, it looks like actually all the swords are up here. So far, the single entities of Lizardmen have been abandoned. They didn't get any support from their infantry, which is a pretty big mistake. These guys just haven't been a part of this blob fight, which they'd obviously want to be. It's a bit of a whoopsie there. Nice banishment in from the Salon onto a bunch of infantry and Grail Knights, but unfortunately the Umbral Tide get caught out. The Ancient Salamander is also caught out, and just not having the Halberds and Elite Spears involved in that big fight, it might be game losing for the Lizardmen. We'll have to see. Overall bounce power is about even. One of the Grail Knights is almost dead. The other two are somewhere around half HP, roughly. Fey Enchantress is still full health. Green Knight is full health. That's about it. They only have two Spearmen left. One Trebuchet, which the Croxagores have now gotten to, so the Treb shouldn't last too long. Though Bretonnia has the point, time favors them if the Lizardmen don't do something about that. But they can't exactly break off and go for the point right now because they're getting shot by archers and trebuchet, so they got to deal with that stuff first. Grail Knights finish off the Ancient Salamander, shattered off Pakapa cohort, haven't shattered the Umbral Tide. The Umbral Tide are low enough on leadership. I don't think they'll rally before they hit the edge of the map. So really everything they have to worry about is still in this blob, and the Dread Saurian's nearing his heal cap, which is a big problem. Even if you have regrowths and Earthbloods left for the Salon or whatever, I mean, after it heal caps, that doesn't matter anymore, huh? All ethereal stack die to one blood letter. From the bid, what I've seen, your voice kept saying, but we already have speed. We need something to stay in the fight for a bit without dying. Honestly, Slaanesh has that. They have Chaos Warriors. I don't know what Slaanesh's needs. Their roster identity is so weird, where they're not supposed to have artillery. They're not supposed to have many archers. They're not supposed to have like true heavy cavalry. And I go, okay, well, if you're going to limit yourself that ferociously on what you can have, then I don't know what to recommend for you, because you already have a crap ton of light infantry, berserker infantry, light cavalry, berserker cavalry, and that's really it. You've kind of run out of things to do because there's so many things that you don't do thematically, quote unquote. So these look like monstrous light cavalry to me, which fine, that looks cool. And I'm not hyped for it. I'm not trying to be a downer. It's just so far I haven't seen enough to really go and make a whole video about it. I saw it and it was like, oh, that's cool. All right. Boom. And that was the end of my analysis. That's cool. I have nothing negative to say. Both sides just Earthblood spamming and seeing who can win the melee grind, and spoiler alert, it's Bretonnia. The Green Knight has just been slapping like all game at this Dread Saurian. 2,200 damage value for him, and it's probably going to keep rising, as this poor Dread Saurian just can't get away from the Green Knight, and there's no source of magic damage to really deal with him. Yeah, neither the Legion of Chakwa or the Temple Guard have magic damage. Dread Saurian goes down, and without that, that's probably going to be GG. Temple Guard and Legion of Chakwa would love to pretend they can carry this, but they definitely can't. Two archers firing in, and a trebuchet that can back off and keep firing with the Fey Enchantress constantly healing up Grail Knights who could cycle charge. Your basic spears won't do it. Would a all rank 9 Noblar army work well currently? No. No. You don't have the damage. Noblar slingers have too little ammunition, truly clear out stuff like archers. And then basic Noblars are decent blockers. Piggyback Riders are decent blockers. Nobblar Trappers are good archers. You just don't have the damage. You don't have any mass. Now, maybe Noblars and Saber Tusks? Maybe. That's more reasonable. But pure Noblars? Lacking too much. All three of the Grail Knights did very well. Trebuchet is more mixed. One of them got shut down immediately. The other one just poked away slowly. Green Knight did fantastically versus the big dinosaurs. 89 buffs in a row, and finally the Green Knight is good again. Pock Cohort did nicely. Dreadsorian honestly did fine, paid for itself. Got a ton of healing support, but it did pay for itself. That is that. We have a Khorne mirror match coming up. Let me just check and see if there's any replays that need to be saving. Khorne. Fish versus Unlucky Spotify. Valkia, the true meta lord, and double Skull Cannon, one of which has been nerfed quite badly, versus Unlucky Spotify's Skull Taker. Nobblar piggybacks used to be great, rank 9. Someone did that in a tourney. Yeah, then they took some nerfs, and I mean, they'd still be okay. I think your whole army being Nobblars would just lack a little too much. It's too much low mass light infantry to really win a game. All right, for Fish's army, we have Skirmish Khorne, 4 Marauder Horsemen throwing axes, 2 Skull Cannons, one of which is the Hellforged Bellowers, and then some Marauders, 1 Skull Reaper, some Flesh Hounds, including the Hounds of the Blood Hunt, 2 Chaos Furies, and Valkia the Bloody. On the other side, for Melee Khorne, Hellforged Toast, Exalted Bloodletter ROR, Skull Taker, again on his Blood Shrine. And then we have Minotaurs, Marauders, the Bloodwake Berserkers, Wrathmongers, more Marauders, and Blood Crushers of Khorne as well. Valkia dove onto the Skull Taker, did a little bit of damage and ran away. Meanwhile, the Skull Cannon did get caught out by the Minotaurs of Khorne with great weapons. It's taking a lot of damage. That it's regeneration. I mean, it's cool to have regeneration, but you definitely can't outfight Minotaurs of Khorne with a Skull Cannon in melee. So that thing does need to get retreating pretty soon, as the Khorne rush is blitzing through. Nerfed Skull Cannon fires on the Blood Crushers of Khorne. They don't seem to mind it too much, though it never really did that much damage versus cavalry, so what are you expecting at that point, I suppose? Hellforged Host almost dead. Minotaurs of Khorne also getting left out, and we have 4 Skirmish Cav and a Skull Cannon all firing at this same clump. I kind of want to see that Skull Cannon fire in and do some damage as well, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen just yet. Big old blob of infantry and Minotaurs in the middle for the red side. They do need to be spreading out and constantly harassing these skirmish elements to push them away. And the red side looks like they're not having a good time without Flesh Hounds, Chaos Warhounds, or Furies of their own to chase down those Skirmish Cav. In comes a nice Spear of Sleipnir, does good damage to the Marauders nearby, ignores the Bloodwake Berserkers entirely. Too high of armor, too low of model count for it to do much damage. Skull Taker on his throne, still trying to get shots in onto Valkia. Doesn't look like he's getting too much damage just yet, but we will have some big breaks here for Red Khorne. Both of the Flesh Hounds are on the border of demonic instability crumbling, and the Skull Reapers are already running away. So if they can surround Valkia, especially with the Bloodwake Berserkers, and beat the crap out of her before she gets back in the sky, they can get a Lord Snipe, which they do need right now. Hellforged Host almost dead as the Skirmish Cav continue to walk them and some Minotaurs off the battlefield. The Hellforged Bellowers continues to fight. This is Conquest, though, so if we can get 1 Marauder back onto the point, and then the rest of you just walk after the Skirmishers for a while, eventually they'll run out of ammunition, or have to come take the point from you, which will be difficult. Skull Cannon gets a good shot in on the central blob. Looks like it hits mostly Marauders, though, not the Bloodwake Berserkers, and Valkia does slip out of there, despite being surrounded. Chariot Lord going to keep up with her, though, so she might have difficulties getting back up into the sky just yet. In the distance, Skirmish Cav have about half ammunition left, and they're still firing at Minotaurs, who are just chasing down the Skull Cannons as best they can. Valkia takes another hit in the back from Skull Taker. She does have Bloody Onslaught debuffs, but his charge animation might have taken too long. Maybe let her get back up into the sky. Nope, he gets another one quick before she retreats, and he gets a charge plus a swing, so that was actually a double attack from him, which is quite nice. He might be able to rout her and then just walk her off the battlefield, which would be pretty huge for him. Meanwhile, another really big catch for Red Khorne is the Blood Crushers of Khorne being able to catch the Hellforged Bellowers. Again, I hate to say the word too often, but that is huge. If they can get Valkia and the Hellforged Bellowers, I do see a path to victory for Red Khorne here, though it is slim. They could possibly do it. Skull Reaper is currently just following Valkia around, refuses to do another charge attack, refuses to swing his sword. So far, he's just keeping her on the ground, but that is about the extent of his willingness to participate. Basic Skull Cannon is going to kite out the Bloodwake Berserkers. Skull Reapers have rallied. The Blood Crushers are failing to kill the Hellforged Bellowers in melee, which is a huge shame. And Valkia and Skull Taker are still just going for a nice little walk. He does not have great charging animations on his thing. He even just T-poses for so long, he lets Valkia get back into the sky as the Hellforged Bellowers fights its way out of the Blood Crushers of Khorne. And all is well in the world when Blood Crushers are terrible and chasing Valkia does not work out due to weird animation things. Now the Blood Crusher's demonic instability crumble, meaning the Hellforged Bellowers is free and clear. Skull Cannon's running low on ammunition, might have to cycle charge a little bit into the Bloodwake Berserkers, but they have taken a lot of damage since we last checked in. Marauder Horsemen of Khorne running out of ammo. And then they can just be light cavalry after that point. They did a little dance. What a beautiful couple. Now Valkia landed again, and the Skull Taker catches her once more. Determined not to let her go this time, he does get a couple good attack animations off, gets some decent damage down, though he does need to hit her one more time to get her off the battlefield, possibly. She's down to 1200 HP. Demon Shield makes her invulnerable as she duels with him for a little bit. Minotaurs are getting chased off. The Bloodwake Berserkers still looking for a fight they can win. 4 seconds left on the Demon Shield, and Valky's going to start pathing away again as the Hellforged Bellowers hits the Skull Taker. Again, he T-poses, and again, she gets up into the sky because he just cannot figure out how to chase her appropriately. Now we're down to just Skull Taker, who is getting shot by the Hellforged Bellowers in the face. We also have the Bloodwake Berserkers, who are very, very low, and they're currently getting cycle charged and skirmished out, walked around the map. Hellforged Bellowers tries to get one more shot on Skull Taker, but it's not going to happen. He has his Slayer Sword procced as he's going to run down the Hellforged Bellowers, which is currently regenerating off of him making contact, but he doesn't have great charging animations, like attacking while keeping up with someone. He has to do that big motorcycle spin if he wants to catch you and swing. See, like, he's not swinging right now. There's the spin. And we actually just saw the exact opposite of this earlier. The Green Knight chasing the Dread Saurian could constantly swing his sword while keeping up with the Dread Saurian. Those are good chasing attack animations. Those are great. It's when you have big fancy animations like this. It's what I complain about with the Mutant Rat Ogre a lot. When people hear my Mutant Rat Ogre rant, they're like, why? It's a good unit. Because it doesn't have passive swinging animations when it's chasing something. It has to do that giant leap, where either it doesn't do the leap and just walks next to something forever, or it does the leap and overshoots its target, or it does the leap, hits its target once, and then it takes so long to recover that whatever it's chasing took the one hit and then gets away. Or it does the jumping leap thing and it hits something that's bigger than itself and it goes flying because it gets knocked down by making contact with a bigger model. So there's a lot of problems with fancy animations that look cool, and the Skull Taker on his motorbike just put on a grand display of them, versus the last game, the Green Knight does not have fancy animations. He's a guy on a horse that swings his sword. But as far as competitive viability, as far as effectiveness, you want just a guy on a horse who swings their sword. You don't want all this nonsense. It looks cool, but you really don't want it. You want basic animations. I don't want to be the police, but isn't Skull Cannon plus R or Skull Cannon for Ooze legal? I don't know that anymore after it got nerfed. I don't know if there were any changes. Prime, I am sorry you were not able to participate, sir. Prime, are you able to participate now? Skull Cannons did very well. The skirmish did very well. Fish played great. It's not like the sexiest Khorne gameplay, but he did have a good plan and executed it well. For Unlucky Spotify, he took more of a thematic Khorne build and was frustrated by some of his units not living up to the hype. Blood Crushers got decent value this game, but I was so disappointed when I saw they surrounded the Skull Cannon ROR and they weren't even killing it. Jabberslice loves his animations. That's true because he at least gets a collision attack. So then his animations that carry him crazy far get a ton of collision damage and get him out of bad situations. That is fair. Prime, you could, but it's already over. Okay, the tournament's over, yeah, Prime. But if you send me a replay of yours to cast, I will cast it just for you. The offer stands. We love Prime on this chat. Up to you, though. Do it, don't do it. Very low stakes environment. Round 3 is done. Sounds like they're just doing 3 rounds today, so they're gonna find us some finalists. Semifinals and finals, so I gotta check that out. We have Lizardmen versus Vampire Counts here, and more Khorne versus Bretonnia. We'll see if we get around to those. Maybe, maybe not. Is that the Dreadquake Mortar? That is the Dreadquake Mortar versus Pegasus Knights. I don't think that goes well for Gordon Ramsay. Anti-Kaiju, you close your eyes and ignore it. I'm not running this tournament. I'm just casting it. I'm a guest here. I'm gonna raise my hands and surrender all responsibility. It's not my problem. It's not my fault. I'm just gonna drink my delicious tea. God, that tea is delicious. Mm. Double Infernal Castellan is pretty cool. It's just the normal train? Oh, all right. All right, Gordon Ramsay. I see you out there. Gordon, was it a good game? Was it worth casting? Or was it kind of meh? Was it kind of meh? Vampire Counts versus Lizards, and they took a very different build. I like it. I like it. The only reason I haven't clicked on anything yet is I'm waiting to hear if I'm supposed to be casting something live or if I'm supposed to be doing stuff. What kind of tea? I have matcha green tea with honey in it. Is that Grace? What does Grace want? What's happening? The camera's on. Don't come in here. The camera's not on. The camera's not on. It's fine. What is this? Why did I get a little caramel? I don't want a caramel. I don't want it. Take it back!
I'll eat it then.
No, it's nice. Thank you.
Is this...
You should come over here. Come over here. Come over here. Say hi to the people. People love you.
Hi, people.
Hi. Will says, oh, hey, what up? There's a bit of a delay, so you're just showing up here.
Yeah. Oh, hey, man.
Oh, hey, man.
Oh, hey, man.
Game Boy, how many of the replays you get sent are meh? Like, in general? Or in tournaments? In general?
100%.
Oh, shit. In general, like, 75% are kind of meh. But the 25% are bangers.
Well, that's not very good odds.
A lot of people submit replays.
So just so you all know in the chat, 3/4 of you have shitty replays.
Wow.
Wow.
More like 3/4 of the replays are shitty, and it doesn't matter who sent them.
Nah, it's 3/4 of them.
Okay, all right.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Will. Hi, Hasey.
We had...
And Hazel's here, too.
Hot Fire Potato says hi, Grace.
Wow. Wait, Hot Fire Potato?
I know what his Discord name is.
Oh, okay.
But you can see his picture.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I like your picture. That is really funny. Oh. Ah, the brain's the upper. It's true. I am.
Yeah, we had Jeannie over, a golden retriever that is not golden at all. She is as white as a sheet of paper. Yeah, she's really cute. We had her over, and she spent the night sleeping on my chest. That was fun.
She loves Austin, so human boy, I guess I should call you on. Sorry.
They all know what my friggin' name is.
Okay, well, she loves
Austin Richard Mulligan. My address is not swearing yourself.
Will is excited that Hazel is here as well. Right? You
Right.
love Will. You love
Yeah.
Will? Yeah.
Yeah, Hazel's all sheepish because her friend just left.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
leave. Good fun. It's so good.
Grace has exciting news for you all. Big life update. So our wedding was a ton of fun, and that was great. It did cost a lot of money, though. So to recoup some of the losses, we are now selling our fingers and toes. Grace, take it away.
No thanks.
This was your idea. Take it away.
Good. I'd like all my fingers and toes to stay right
This
where they
was
are.
your idea. Take it away. All right, you can sell my fingers and toes. We're selling my fingers and toes.
I'd also
Take it away.
like your fingers and toes to stay right where they are.
Oh my God, you're killing me. What are we gonna sell? Hazel, we're selling a dog. What's the price? Take it
Aw.
away.
$1 million.
That is too high.
No.
Oh, okay.
You don't want $1 million?
You know what? Fine. Yeah. We're selling our dog for $1 million. Grace is gonna hold an auction this Saturday at still not swearing, lot where we live, town, USA.
Much per. Not for sale.
Okay.
How about Hazel's fingers and toes? Although she just has all toes.
She has all toes.
She wishes she
those
had
are $5
fingers.
a pop.
That's a steal.
That is a steal.
Look at that face. She is not amused.
All right.
Right.
I love you. You're great. I gotta get back to the stream.
Okay.
Thanks for popping in.
You're welcome
You're
for your
super nice.
caramel.
Thank you
There's
for the
more
caramel.
upstairs if you want more.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I would love to put a very chewy, sticky substance in my mouth while I need to cast things. I would love to do that. She's sighing and looking at me like she's regretting a lot of decisions.
Nice to.
I am very nice to certain people.
Do you have an interest? You're not feeling well, so probably not.
Maybe. This is an after-stream conversation.
Okay, I just was trying to figure out it's.
I am interested, but I need to think about this when I'm
Okay.
not entertaining people. My pants are coming off. Get away! Get away! Defensive dance!
Not doing any of the things he's telling you.
Oh, you don't have to reveal that. There's no camera on. They can't see anything.
Yeah, but so then I gotta.
Get out of here.
It just feels like false marketing.
It is false marketing. Leave.
Bye.
Bye, Grace. All right. I'm sorry about my wife. What is the plan to Hirtenfjordur? So Fish is asking what the plan is. I don't know. I have a very thematic Chaos Wars Dwarf replay if you want to watch it. Sure, why not? Sure. Why not? Send it. Why did I get pinged? I don't know if there's a top 4. I'm scared. Contrarian Codex, you don't get to sign up because you're too good. You're too good. Gordon Ramsay, I asked him a question and then I ignored him entirely. Okay, he said it's meh. We're going to skip that one. Skipping the train. I'm sorry, Gordon Ramsay. Though I'm not sorry because I asked you and then you said meh. Vampire Counts versus Lizardmen, Heel Blob. Pretty whatever. And then Grail Knights versus Bloodthirsters is fine. I don't know where their top 4 is at, so I'm going to cast a game. Enough of this waiting around. If they want me, they know where to find me. Gordon Ramsay. Oh, another Gordon replay versus Unlucky Spotify. Double Bloodthirster, one of which is Exalted. And then a whole bunch of Minotaurs. Prime sent us a replay he wants us to cast. I'll do that. How's the game going behind us? Boom, we're into it. Oh my goodness. Double Bloodthirster of Khorne. I have recently discovered that this is pretty good. Now, I haven't discovered this technology. Someone else did, honestly, a long time ago, but I recently played with it, and it is quite strong. So whoever that was a long time ago, good job. For Bretonnia to counter Double Bloodthirster, we have Albert de Bordelot and Henry La Massif, 2 anti-large armor-piercing duelists. Then we have some Grail Knights who are currently catching a Bloodthirster out on the ground. 2 Grail Knights total. Then we do have a life mage with just Earthblood. Peasants defending 2 trebuchets, a bunch of archers, a front line of spearmen with Grail Relic to keep them healthy. Then we have Chaos Warhounds charging into them, Khorngors, Marauders, Minotaurs, and a Blood Beast or 2. The double Bloodthirsters might be in a bit too deep, but they can path through the peasants. The peasants that were meant to defend the trebuchets are actually helping defend the Bloodthirster as it peels away some of the Grail Knights who are not quite able to keep up through that sea of bodies. Now they can path through their peasants pretty well, but it still blocks a couple of the horsemen, so it is worth doing to surround yourself with as many worthless peasants as possible if you are going to be surrounded at all. Still, though, Alberic does not give up the hunt, and enough Grail Knights get through. We can still see some models are stuck in the peasants, but enough get through to take down the Bloodthirster at last. But Khorne's vengeance will be swift. Minotaur's already penetrating the backline along with the Exalted Bloodthirster as he fights his way out, half health off some Grail Knights, and Henry Le Massif has taken some decent damage as well. Chaos Warhounds of Khorne on the far side, losing to Spearmen at Arms. They'll want to find some rear charges or chase off something already routing as Minotaurs continue to pile into this backline. And can the Grail Knights find enough safe harbor to get decent charges off, or are they just kind of stuck in a bump and grind melee with Khorne units that will usually beat them in a prolonged trade? But speaking of prolonged trades, the Minotaurs might not have that much time as their leadership is already faltering, and especially with the Exalted Bloodthirster leaving the fight, that takes that Encourage and Lord is nearby, all those buffs that can keep you in the fight, and really disperses them. And now these guys are getting hit on all sides. They're going to need that Exalted Bloodthirster back, and he needs to stop and just fight the Grail Knights. He is not going to get away from them as he tries to path out, tries to get to safety and get back up into the sky. He needs to turn and fight because he can actually beat them if he just stays. He'll take a lot of damage, but he should win that fight overall. Minotaur still chasing around the Damsel of Life, who is distracting some of them. And the infantry front line is starting to collapse, but that Grail Relic, which I rated S tier in my Chariots tier list, is holding all these guys together, giving them insane leadership stats. Immune to Psychology, +8 leadership, and then +4 from the Braid of Bordeleau, +8 more from having knights nearby. Dang, those are some jacked peasants. The most courageous men of Bretonnia. Bloodthirster is losing the fight to the Grail Knights. Maybe I am just a liar and a charlatan and a heathen. Though with his Deathbringer, I honestly thought he would do a lot better versus the Grail Knights, but looks like he's just taking too much damage. Khorngors are nearby, but not nearby enough to save him. Minotaurs get stuck fighting Enter the Massif. Rear charge by peasant mobs, and with the Exalted Bloodthirster dying, you're about to see just a cascade of failure that will lead to the Khorne losing. Because this dog's gonna rout as soon as he dies. That Minotaur, this Minotaur's routing. The Blood Beast might rout now that the Lord is dead. The Khorngors might rout too, and that should just be GG. Now would be a good time to insert ads. Never. I would never insert ads into a live stream and subject my viewers to such things. But you'll get a lot more money. Money? Money? I like money. Give them ads! Give them ads! No, I wouldn't do that. I'm not saying I'll never do it, but I won't do it right now. Grail Knights got really good value. For unlucky Spotify, Khorngors and Marauders just took too long to get through those buffed up peasants. Minotaurs did fine. Basic Bloodthirster, not as fine. Though they did get a little overextended where they had to fight the entire Bretonnian army for a bit before the reinforcements arrived. Usually they'd want to arrive at roughly the same time. Do I have a top 4 thing I'm supposed to be doing? Give us ads for your fingers and toes. No! Prime, you sent 2 more. I got some choices. Thanks, dude. Thanks, brother. That is a Dreadquake Mortar versus the Dwarfs. Okay. Okay. I'm going to save the other ones you sent. After the finals, we will guaranteed cast a Prime replay. But it seems like I have semifinals and finals to go be checking out, so I'm going to probably do that. I'm going to probably do that once one of the players sends me a code. Let's check out your 3 replays and pick one. Not bad. Not bad either, but not as exciting as the other 2, so I'm going to pass on that. That is a Dreadquake Mortar. That is pretty cool. But I like Crow Cathay. That's fun. And it has the bombers. I'm going to go with the Cathay one. But again, That is after finals. You have to wait, all of you. I know you're excited. What up, Dark Horse Old World? Hope you're doing well. How's it going so far? Looks like Khorne is popular. Khorne is very popular, Dust Bunny. Is Turin streaming right now? I knew he was streaming earlier. €2, keep the change. When can I expect my package? Right now. Boom. It's at your house. Check outside. You'll find fingers or toes. Or whatever you asked for. Hey, gang. I want to let you all know that there's another streamer going on right now. A domination tournament being cast by Tequila Sunset. It's another one of the big JP streams. Tournaments he's hosting. How long you be streaming, do you think? I should have 4 more games to cast, so about an hour and a half. But if anybody wants to check out, if we ever have downtime and you're like, where's the action? Feel free to hop over to Tequila Sunset stream. He is streaming domination. If that's not your bag, I get that. But if you don't really care, he's a good guy. Deserves more subscribers. You wanted a foot? Oh, just go, yeah. Yeah, I sent it to your house. If you see someone outside with feet, they probably stole the foot that was for you. And you should feel bad. And go take that. Take their foot. Cut it off! I don't know where any of the games I'm supposed to be going to are. So we're going to cast Prime's game now while I wait to hear from either the players or the tournament host what we're doing. So this is just a random, non-related tournament, non-tournament, unrelated game that our beloved Prime sent us. It just looked cool. The lady demands finals. I also demand finals. So what do we got here? Bronze chevron or gold chevron? Kind of hard to tell. Looks like bronze chevron. Morgul's in the Vanguard, and they are still stocked, even though there's a Celestial Lion specifically looking for stock units. They're just a little too stocked. A little too sneaky for the Celestial Lion, and the Celestial Lion's lurking there like he knows that they're right there. This is actually such a tense standoff where the Morgul's are like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Do we even move? The Celestial Lion is just sitting there. But there's like, the part that's confusing me is either if the Grand Cathay player thinks this is checking for stocked units, he should see there are none and move. And if he's waiting to check for stocked units, just order it over here and check for the stocked units. I don't know. I love this in-between that just leaves the Morgul's locked in the background. Anyway, for the rest of the Grand Cathay build, we have 4 Onyx Crowmen, including the Empress Crowman. We have a bunch of Iron Hail Gunners, 2 Nangao Grenadiers, the Bandits of the Silver Road, Fire Archers, and a Crane Gunner with Peasant Long Spears and a Fire Rain Rocket Battery. On the other side, for the Vampire Coast, we have 2 Carronades, a bunch of Zombie Pirate, Handgun Mobs, Bomber Mobs, Deckhand Mobs, and then Rotting Prometheans, and a Deathcaster with Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna. Nobody move a muscle. Fair. As that standoff continues, Onyx Crowmen are advancing. Now, these are a pseudo-demonic unit, so if they take enough damage, they will fall apart instantaneously. And that will be a big problem for them. The cannons, meanwhile, are still trying to kill the Fire and Rocket Batteries. Already took out one of the 4. That's about it for now, as the handgunners are starting to shoot at the Onyx Crowmen. The Onyx Crowmen are here with a vengeance. Oh yeah, the Grand Cathay Lord exists, and I didn't mention what they are. Jade Shield and Dragon's Breath Yin Caster. Got it. Got it, got it, got it. Carronade gets rear charged by the Onyx Crowmen. Handgun mobs turning to fire at them at point blank range, while these Onyx Crowmen dive onto the handgunners themselves and kill them off. Carronade's also taking a lot of damage here, so the Onyx Crowmen will probably die for this effort, which will be a lot of damage value out from Grand Cathay for the Vampire Coast. That's quite solid. But still, they got some of their jobs done, turned off some of the cannons, saving the Fire Rain Rocket, which was under serious fire, and the Morgul's are now free and clear to move up whenever they realize they are no longer under Celestial Lion threat. Bombers getting into a bit of a bomber battle, but it is unfair because there are fire archers currently making them even weaker to the Nangao grenades, but the grenadiers stand back up. They have orders to throw, though sometimes they kind of do this weird thing where they soft bug out for a second when they end up in that spread formation, but they unlock and finish off the bombers they were dealing with. Celestial Lion is busy disrupting other bombers, while more Nangao grenadiers take care of the zombie pirate deckhands mobs. Vampire Coast backline needs to start moving up now. They're busy peeling Onyx Chroman, getting some good damage out. But now the Onyx Chroman are safe and sound, so the rest of Vampire Coast have to get up here and get involved. Animated Hulk's going to peel off the Celestial Lion from these bombers who are trying to move away. Look at him. Look at him just moving away, running away from that spooky, scary lion man. So curious why you want to foot the Phoenix King? Who wouldn't want to foot? Feet are great. Crane Gunners firing down the line at Rotting Promethean gunnery mobs. But they won't do enough damage to stop them. That's going to be up to the Iron Hail Gunners. The Iron Hail Gunners have your burst damage. You need to really get rid of those guys. Morngul's creeping up the back. Charging into the Crane Gunners. Maybe it's the long con after all. The Morngul's come charging in. These Crane Gunners will be like paper cranes. Origami paper cranes, because Cathay is China and China doesn't do origami. That's Japan. I don't know where I'm going with this, but they're dead instantaneously and the Mongols carry on. Firing rockets at this point are just going to be ignored. They've used enough of their ammunition that it's not even worth getting back there and shutting them down. They're going to run out of ammo by the time you get there. It's better to kill the bandits of the Silver Road or something else. In fact, they're even Fate of Buning the Iron Hail Gunners, which I don't dislike, considering how much damage the Iron Hail Gunners have done to a lot of these units. And these crabs aren't the ROR Rotting Promethean gunnery mobs. They don't have their self-regeneration, and this is not a vampire caster, so she doesn't have healing for them either. So you really need to get rid of those things that are dealing so much damage to you. Firing rocket battery down to 4 shots left. Spirit Leech out on the Dragon-Blooded Shugen and Lord of Yang, who's already getting very low. And unfortunately for the red player, they have forgotten their Onyx Chroman for an awfully long time, and now they're starting to come back into the fray. Though we do still have 2 handgunners firing down and over a hill into this poor Celestial Lion that's at half HP. The Onyx Chroman coming straight for those handgunners, though, would be a really big win for Grand Cathay if you could shut down both of those units super quickly, as we saw them do at the start of the game. That'd be a lot of value back. Currently, though, Grand Cathay's biggest problem is going to be a healthy Promethean gunnery mob and a healthy Morngul in the late game with a Death Caster. Meanwhile, the handgunners anti-aircraft fire should take out 1 Onyx Chroman, but the other 2 could clean this up. Looks like one of them is actually going for the bomber mob, so getting a little greedy here from Grand Cathay. Just a little bit. Eyes maybe bigger than their stomachs. They try and take out all 3. It looks like maybe the risk assessment might have been correct, though, as this Onyx Chroman is not faded away yet, and it is in combat with the handgunners, which it should be able to win at this point. Looks like all 3 ranged units are going down. It's a nice job from those guys. Fire Rain rocket battery down to 2 volleys left. Struggling with words. When the Mongols finally get over here and decide to just shut it down once and for all, might as well. I've gotten rid of most things. Dragon-Blooded Shugi Lord has about 3 or 4 Spirit Leeches left before she's dead. Celestial Lion's in a similar position, but I would definitely prioritize the Shugi Lord, personally. Still have some peasants who are about to die. And there's no real guns left, because that handgun mob does not stand a chance versus 2 Onyx Chroman that happen to be right next to it. Morngul's will run down the rest of the ranged units. This crab mob doing what they can versus Celestial Lion and Shugi Lord combination, though. I imagine we'll get another Dragon's Breath soon that should clear out these last 2 chaff infantry, and the Promethean mobs will be all alone. Probably lose it. There's a reason they're really strong. Those shotgunners at point blank range do a lot of damage to big single entities like this, so I think the Vampire Coast is in a good position to finish this game out. Animated Hulks and Deathcaster moving up to finish off the Onyx Chroman. Bandits of the Silver Road are back as the Mongols move on from routing off the Iron Hail Gunners back to their next prey. Bandits of Silver Road turn, realize that they are in a bit of trouble, need to deal with the threat of the Mongols creeping up on them. And in the background, actually, the Celestial Lion routes, meaning the Dragon-Blooded Shugen Lord is doomed. Like, the Rotting Prometheans can definitely beat her at this HP, especially if there's Spirit Leech support nearby. Oh, what we would give for 1 overcast Spirit Leech just to take this lady out. Corner standoff ended, yeah. All right, we do have a semifinal replay ready for us, and then we have a live game waiting on us, so I might have to do the rest of this in ×2, as it's looking to get to be a very spread out fight. It'll just take a while for the units to walk around. This lady's coming over for a Spirit Leech that should end the game, if she can get it there in time. There's a Spirit Leech, and that should kill the Lord. Nah, it doesn't kill her. Might rout her off the battlefield, though, and then with that, the leadership is just too low that if the Lord is gone, like that, they instantly win. GG is prime. And we got you on stream. I would stick around and check out all the values of everything, but we got to get going. There's already players live waiting for us. And they've waited long enough. Let's go find them. We have Gordon Ramsay versus AA Spotify. Gordon Ramsay was on Bretonnia, AA Spotify on Khorne. So we'll get a rematch of Bretonnia versus Khorne. I don't know if it was these exact players that played it, because we've had 2 people playing Khorne, but... in case he has a build ready, I am going to black out the screen for just a second. Oop, there we go. Now we're on the map screen where we can't hurt anybody. Live game isn't ready yet. Haven't found Spotify. You can just Google search Spotify and download it, dude. What the hell? Whatever. Kids these days not knowing how to use Spotify. Okay. Our other semifinal is a replay that's already ready. So I'm going to cast that quick, Gordon, since you're in chat. If you find Spotify, let me know. If you don't find him, then just give yourself the win and move on. Khorne versus Lizardmen was already played. Our other semifinal, that's the one I was trying to find. There we go. So this is Fish versus Rika Bisisto. Rika Biasist. I don't know, man. I don't know. So Fish is taking the Slaughter Guard. I honestly haven't seen the Chosen ROR of Khorne maybe since that DLC came out. That added them. Okay. Khorne Lizards. For Khorne, we have Karanak, the spooky doggo of Khorne, 4 Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, 3 Marauders of Khorne, 1 Slaughter Guard, Skarbrand the Exiled, and then 2 Minotaurs with great weapons. Skarbrand is butt naked, did not even bring his rampage. On the other side, for the Lizardmen, we have the Clostodon Hunters, Riperdactyl Rider ROR, Umbral Tide, and an Ancient Salamander, and a Feral Dreadsaurian yet again, some Chameleon Skinks, and then we have the Cohort of Waddle, a Slann Mage Priest of Life, then the Cohort of Sotek, Legion of Chakwa, and a basic Skink with Jabs. The Dreadsaurian is discouraging Marauders from just sprinting into melee with the Salamander Hunting Pack, forcing them to partake in a range duel, which the Salamanders will win overall. Now they're falling back, running away, retreating, getting out of here. Feral Dreadsaurian is in danger of getting rampaged very far away from his home troops. Could be a bit of a problem, but also on the other side, Fish's Marauder Horsemen of Khorne get stuck fighting Clostodon Hunters. They definitely don't want to do that, and for sure he just hasn't noticed this is happening. I don't think that this is an intentional decision at all, especially with Jav and Chameleon Skink's support. The Clostodon Hunters get a nice free pick there, as yeah, it looks like Fish's efforts were focused on catching that Saurian, which is so close to rampaging right back into Skarbrand in front of armor-piercing skirmishers. This is a very dangerous situation for the Lizardmen, but it looks like the Lizardmen are just going to try and turning the Umbral Tide and the Ancient Salamander onto Skarbrand, though so far the only shot that came out was friendly fire onto the Dreadsaurian, and he's currently getting a regrowth. If those Salamanders set him on fire, they're going to cut that regrowth in half, so this is a very risky situation. Thankfully for the Dreadsaurian, the Salamanders have turned onto the Minotaurs of Khorne instead, and we do have the Cohort of Waddle trying to help out a bit. Bound Banishment out onto the Marauder Horsemen of Khorne, getting a decent amount of damage. 2 of the 4 Marauder Horsemen are already routing. Maybe they'll come back. Banishment doing half HP off another, so good damage onto the Skirmish Cav of Khorne, and these Jab Skinks plus the Cohort of Waddle are tearing apart the Minotaurs right now. But speaking of tearing apart, 2 throwing axes hitting this guy at the same time as Scarbrand is dueling it. The Feral Dreadsaurian's having a bad time, and he is forced to retreat. Now, Karanak is stopping the Salon from casting any more supportive spells or abilities. No Shield the Old Ones for you, no Cold-Blooded, no Earthbloods, nothing like that, as the Salamander Kite continues backwards. Now the Court of Hwat will try and slow down Scarbrand, but his charge attacks are just too good. He keeps on the Dreadsaurian. It still has 3,000 HP, nothing to scoff at, but as long as Scarbrand stays with it, he should be able to walk it off the map or outright kill that thing. Khorne a little ahead on the balance of power. Colossadon Hunters taking severe damage after getting into fights with Minotaurs and Skirmish Cav. They've done some decent damage, but also attrition out. Thus is the fate of squishy units. Skink cohorts have to dive into the Slaughter Guard and try and hold these guys back while these skirmish forces of the Lizardmen get a little bit more damage out. Karanak is trying to serpentine his way up to the Salamanders, taking a couple shots to the face, though, down to about half HP, as those anti-large missiles grate against a low-armored, large target like Karanak. Still, the Dreadsaurian is off the map. Cold-Blooded gave it the leadership it needed to rally, but Scarbrand was too close, so of course it said, "Big scary thing near me will not come back. Goodbye, good day." Colossadon Hunters dive onto Karanak, and now the skirmishers need to switch targets onto the Marauder Horsemen throwing axes and peel them away so that they don't just charge the Colossadon Hunters like this. Ooh, you're going to lose your Colossadon Hunters. They're taking a lot of damage. They're going to maybe take Karanak with them as the Salamanders still try and get a shot off, though I don't know what direction they're currently facing as other Marauder Horsemen are closing in on them. Looks like Khorne's realized he just needs to get into melee wherever possible and stop those Salamanders from firing. Court of Sotek and the Legion of Chakwa holding as long as the Lizardmen need them to, but they're not taking up enough space. There's not enough room for the Salamanders to scoot and shoot their way into a win. Vertical Cliff just rush into melee with the Horsemen now. Looks like he heard you. Can somebody ban Vertical Cliff for live coaching on a replay? Sure, this already happened, but it was the intent. Vertical Cliff was trying to tell this man what to do, and I will not stand for it. Jokes aside, Marauder Horsemen throwing axes did great, Minotaurs did great, and Scarbrand, not a lot of value, though I thought he was doing a nice job. And aside for Rica Bisesto. Hope you had some fun. Hope to see you around. Not a name I recognize. And if it is a player that I should have recognized, then that's awkward because I didn't. But their Lizardmen were cool. Rico, are you in chat? No backseating from the future allowed. It's true. For anyone who cares, if this matters to anybody, here's a theoretical Lizardman army. Because what I saw there is Rico took roughly the same army every time. Roughly. He did slight adjustments. But that is a way, if you're new to multiplayer or new to a faction, to try and learn them, is to just take a generally solid build and go from there. So if you want a generic Lizardman build that's strong, we can do this. All right, so what's the cost of a Salon? I'll get back to it. 1 second. A Salon, 2 spells, keep all those, get rid of those. $14.95. Okay, I'll get back to the Salon in a second. So generically strong build. 5 Red Crested Skinks. With Frenzy and high weapon strength and poison, they perform very well against any light infantry. They also perform very well against infantry more elite than them that is armored. The only thing they're weak to is Berserker type infantry. Infantry that's more elite than them in stats, but doesn't rely on armor, they rely on melee attack. So, Red Crested Skinks, overall a great frontline to just blindly pick 5 of them. Then you can usually have 4 Skink Skirmishers. For 425 gold, they're little darts and poison. If you have them on skirmish mode, they're annoying enough and cheap enough that they'll almost always do great. They can shoot at big monsters in the late game. They can shoot at light cavalry or dogs. They're fine. And if they die, you literally don't care. You just don't care at all. 2 Feral Bastiladons. This is the cheapest form of terror maybe in the entire game. And they're both solid-ish combatants, especially at dueling 2v1 against lords or something big in the late game. And they're so cheap, again, that you throw them, and if you forget them or they rampage to their death, it really wasn't that much. It's less money than a Saurus. What up, Skaven Man? How you doing? I'm doing good, Trogdor. Doing good. So this is our front line. This has a lot of mass and, like, spread, so you can cover a lot of your battlefield. And then he seemed to really like the Salamander hunting packs, so let's give him some Salamander hunting packs. Ancient Salamander's okay. I think it's a good unit. How he was using it, he was firing it at whatever the Salamanders are shooting at. The Umbral Tide Salamander hunting packs shoot at large targets. This should shoot at only infantry. So if that's what you want to do, that's fine. And then now that we have these guys, I would grab either 4 Cold Ones for more mass or 3 Cold One Spear Riders for better mass. So it depends on if you want more mass or if you want better units. But Cold One Spear Riders will trade very cost effectively into any cavalry that tries to get on your backline. So if you have a build like this, you can still go with generally what he seemed to want. I mean, you don't have the Feral Dread Saurian, but you do have 2 big dinosaurs. It's just the big dinosaurs are cheaper, so if they get sniped out, you don't lose as much of your army as the Dread Saurian. And he seemed to really like the Salamanders. Well, you have the Salamanders here. I'm just giving them what I think is a better army to keep them online and firing. This is an okay Lizardman army. Now for the Lord, why did I do this? From here, you have the flexibility. You can grab any Slaawn you want, and as long as you select just 2 spells, you can afford that Slaawn. So no matter what lore of magic you want with this build, it doesn't matter because I left you with the exact amount of gold you need for a Slaawn to 2 spells. And if you're taking more than 3 spells, that's incorrect. There's literally like no situation that's reasonable where you need 3 or 4 spells. You're just not going to have the Winds of Magic or the time or the cooldowns to cast them. You could cast Apotheosis 4 times and Soul Quench twice, or you could cast Apotheosis twice, Soul Quench twice, Tempest twice. But why? Like, you're spending extra money diversifying your Winds of Magic, but for what reason? So anyway, from here you can pick any Slaawn you want. Just remember 2 spells and cut the items, and you'll be fine. Or go 1 spell and Blood Statue of Spite. That's also fine. But there's a generic Lizardman army that is in the spirit of what he seemed to want, but will be a little more successful. If he's out there in chat and he was just vibing and he's like, dude, I was just having a good time, cool, keep having a good time. But if you wanted the feedback, there's the feedback. Rats were wet. We're rats. I had a horrible time once as Khorne vs Lizardmen. A net of Amnatoc pinning Scarband in the Shredder of Lustria had some sore support smashing his head in. That's pretty brutal. That is very brutal for sure. Fish and Gordon, we have lost Spotify, so you are finals. Let's do this. So we'll move straight into finals. We couldn't find our other semifinalists, so Gordon Ramsay versus Spotify will just be Gordon Ramsay advancing. Part of the reason I was doing that shenanigans with the Lizardman build was to buy time to see if Spotify would appear. Why 2 Bastiladons if you only need them for the terror? So for 2 reasons, Prime. 1, you don't have to keep them together in the early game. You can spread them out and get multiple sources of terror across the front line. So like on the right flank and on the left flank, get terror going and routing off things and get through faster. And then the late game, it's because they 2v1 very nicely. You're paying $650 twice, so you're paying for $1350. Sorry, 13. I'm having trouble with math right now. You're paying 1,300 gold for double the stats. So if you treat these guys as one duelist in the late game, you stick them together, they're both attacking the same target. They still have 140 armor as a unit, but they have 15,000 HP. And then they still have decent melee attack and melee defense. They have decent charge bonus, things like that. But yeah, you do lump them together. The big problem I noticed with the Shredder of Lustria or any big Dread Saurian is it can be good in very certain matchups, but as a generic, I'm always going to take this build. There are certain matchups where the Dread Saurian is just hard countered. He's not going to do well at all. And the Bastiladons just don't have that issue. They're low enough to the ground that armor-piercing missiles have a hard time hitting them. They're good enough generally that they're good versus heavy cav, infantry, decent at 2v1 dueling anything. And again, if you lose them, they're 650 a pop, so it's not that big of a deal. Like, a Fate of Buna on a Cold One Spear Rider does about as much damage to your total army as losing both of these guys. So, if you just like big monsters and melee monsters, these guys are more effective to bring, because then you aren't gambling as much that they'll win. It's less reward, though, too, right? For, like... Honestly, it is like gambling is a good analogy. It's like betting $2 on a throw of dice instead of betting 100. I mean, if you win the throw, that's really cool, and you wanted to have $100 because then you get this big win. Like the Dread Saurian can carry the whole game for you, right? 2 Feral Bastiladons is never going to carry the whole game for you. So you're risking a lot less. There is less payoff, and I acknowledge that. But I'm generally the type of person where I'm like, yeah, I don't like to risk whole games on whether or not my opponent prepared for a Dread Saurian. So I think they're just safer. They won't win you games, they won't lose you games. Generally my thinking of it. Dreadsaurian, now to sing its praises and not try and make it sound like a bad monster, it'll flat out win you games, but that's partially on your opponent not building correctly and partially on you microing really well, which, I don't know. Hey, David Hernando. Curio's trying to ban me, which is fine. And we're into finals. Bretonnia made it to finals, baby. Khorne made it to finals, though Khorne was 1/3 of the factions being played today because 2 people picked it out of 6. Still, Bretonnia made it to finals. Can Bretonnia beat Khorne? Your Khorne is raw. Sometimes matchups just so fucked that you gotta bring the Dread and pray. Yeah, Olaf. I was talking about a generic build for, like, I'm gonna take this into every opponent as Lizardmen. You're Skaven main, why do you advocate for low-risk strats? Because I've been burned by RNG too many times. Honestly. I know you're memeing, but it is funny. When I was a new player, I had a lot of these builds where I had like a crazy idea, and I'm like, no, it'll work just right. And I would like, I'm making this up because I started playing early game 2, but like, oh, I'm going to take Skull Crushers of Khorne, and then I'm going to get that motorbike next to him, so the motorbike has a ton of stuff, and I'm going to have Revel and Slaughter, so plus 40 more melee attack, and then I'm going to hit him with a Horde of Khorne, and my Skull Crushers are going to have 120 melee attack and all this damage, and they're going to wreck fools, and I'll use them as this wrecking ball that'll kill this, and it's like, hey, cool theory, but you're putting all your eggs in one basket. What if, I don't know, your Skull Crushers just T-pose? And I'm like, they wouldn't possibly do... Ooh, they did exactly that. And I gave them all the stats in the world, and they would just sit there and do nothing, and I would, like, throw my keyboard against the wall and just get pissed off. So, my early days as a player scarred me so much that I'm like, all right, I am done taking builds that rely on one thing to go right to win. Because if it doesn't go right, you just lose, and it pisses me off. All right, final game here. Fishy versus Gordon Ramsay. For Fish, we have Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons, Bloodwake Berserkers, and 2 Khorne Gores on the flanks. We have Skull Crushers. All right, congratulations, Gordon Ramsay wins the tournament. Let's go. Bretonnia taking it all the way. People are like, Khorne's overpowered. Khorne got a DLC. Khorne's this, Khorne's that. Everyone's playing Khorne. And then Bretonnia just wins it before the game even starts. 2 Skull Crushers. GG. Game over. Congratulations, Gordon Ramsay. It was fun, guys. All right, I'm out. Peace. Fine, I'll cast the game. All right. 2 Skull Crushers, some Fleshhounds of Khorne, Chaos Furies, and Valkia with Spirit Sleipnir and Demon Shield. T-posing isn't doing nothing. They're T-posing. Thanks, Rollick. On the other side, for Bretonnia, Spearmen at Arms, Frontline, Grail Knights, the Companions of Quenelles, and more Grail Knights, 2 Field Trebuchets, a Damsel of Life, and Alberic plus Henry Le Massif. Clearly seemed to like that from the other game we cast of him. And then a Grail Relic to keep the front line online. Dude, I am so scarred by Skull Crushers. Their stats are so good. Why is this unit so freaking bad? And they just are. 54 melee attack with bonus versus large attempts. They have 64 melee attack against large targets. Really high weapon strength, great armor, but for some reason, they just don't get the job done. There are no archers to harass the Furies. So the Furies should feel pretty safe to just move up and do whatever they want, as long as they don't literally walk into Alberic and then sit there and let him beat the crap out of them. They should be fine. Khorne's front line moving up. It'll eventually get here. It'll eventually start doing damage. And man, Khorne thinks he's hot shit right now. Look at him setting up on the side. He's like, I got my Skull Crushers and I got my Fleshhounds. We're going to 2v1 any Elite Knights that come out here and we're going to win. And I don't have the heart to tell him that the Skull Crushers actively do damage to their own units and then say, hey enemy, you played a good game, and they just go around and give handshakes. In comes the charge. Skull Crushers versus Grail Knights. Grail Knights, they both take about the same damage, but all of a sudden the Skull Crushers start to fall way behind on damage. Earthblood is out, and these units cost about the same, and these units cost about the same amount of money, and they do just about the same amount of work. Go Skull Crushers, go! Oh, you're all dying. Oh, you got 600 value. Oh, you're dead, and Grail Knights got 1,100, baby. Let's go. But on the other side, it's a 2v1, and still the Skull Crushers are losing, but maybe they're losing a little bit less. Can they hang on? Can they do anything? I don't know. But the Chaos Furies are shutting down the field trebuchets. Khorne frontline is slapping those peasants, getting rid of them nice and quickly. The Skull Crushers have almost taken out this Grail Knight. They're getting so close to actually doing it. Spear Slapnir down the side gets rid of some spears. The Grail Knights are holding on, though, as long as Henry Le Massif is nearby, giving them the courage to go on. And Earthblood is out. These guys are not on fire. Skull Crushers do not provide fire damage. That is one of the Blood Crushers specifically. As the full health Grail Knight that already killed a Skull Crusher is coming back in. Companions of Quenelle stuck fighting the Flesh Hounds of Khorne. And with just a bit of an Earthblood, the Skull Crushers have just ceased to do damage. They're T-posing. They can't possibly win. And in the background, decent snipe attempt out onto the Damsel of Life. She's having difficulties getting to safety as Furies and Valkyrie are all over her. But the Furies are about to fade away as the Grail Knights peel. Though, problem for the Grail Knights is they're stuck in a fight they don't want to be in. Armor is getting sundered by the Bloodwake Berserkers, apparently got their hands on them. Which, ooh, that armor sundering plus Chaos Furies is huge. Furies have really high DPS, but not a lot of armor piercing. The Slaanesh ones do. The Khorne ones don't. So getting that armor sundering from the Bloodwake Berserkers is super nice. Grail Knights and Companions of Quenelle's coming over to say hello. And these Grail Knights still hanging out, but a rear charge in from the other Grail Knights should put a nail in the coffin for Khorne on this flank. Skull Crushers tear out away. Flesh Hounds are going to get killed off, and there goes the last of the Khorne mobility. Now other Skull Crushers are coming back in, and a big problem for Bretonnia. This game isn't over just yet. As much as I meme on the Skull Crushers, the front line went fantastically for Khorne, and the dive from the Furies took out field trebuchets and then harassed the Grail Knights too. This is a bit of an overcommitment, really trying to get that Damsel of Life with these Furies, but it will end up just sacrificing the Furies to the Blood God himself, so they'll be going right back home, where Khorne himself will not be very happy with these guys. This fight is happening on Khorngors, so maybe it's all just a bait. Khorngors are currently getting some good chippy chops in onto the Companions of Quenelle's and some other Grail Knights, though currently some of them are staggering around a lot. They do need to get more attacks in, though I think they have attack orders on something they can't actually reach. So they should get new attack orders onto the Companions of Quenelle's just to get shots off, rather than maybe trying to go for Alberic or Henry or something more ideal. They should just fight whatever they can. They have less models and still die faster? Yeah. You're telling me Robo Demon Rhinos are not ITP? They are not ITP. They're Robo Demon Rhino Riders. They're not courageous. We have some Marauders here that, yeah, Bretonnia should turn in and just kill these Marauders. They're a little overextended, and you have so many infantry to churn through, you have to get rid of the bad ones first, so you can focus on the elite ones later. If the elite ones are mixed in with the bad ones, you're gonna have a really hard time charging them, as the Bretonnians are just running an armored, hoofed train through the Marauders of Khorne, down to half HP in the blink of an eye, and their leadership is falling, so soon they'll be terror outing as the other Skull Crushers join the fight only to instantly terror out. Valkia dives down into the pile of Bretonnians. I actually like this a lot. She's just popping Demon Shield. She wants them to stop and fight her, which Gordon Ramsay is trying not to do. He's trying to break out of here. But they were offering Valkia as a bit of bait while the Khorngors and Bloodwake Berserkers caught up. How Khorne is going to win this, they need to play this as conquest. They need to capture this point. They need to force Bretonnia onto a timer. Now, you keep chasing them. I'm not saying you just AFK on the point. Then they'll cycle charge you for free, all that stuff. But you do need the point to be ticking for Bretonnia to have a reason to come fight you, because otherwise they are going to just kite you out. They are going to cast Earthbloods. So it is heavily on fish to start the timer. Is there a reason why something like Fire at Will doesn't exist for melee units? It does if you stop giving them orders, but if you keep giving them orders on something they can't reach, every time you give a unit a melee order, it'll try and obey it for like 5 seconds before snapping back to whatever it was already doing. So if you keep ordering it to get to something it can't get to, it'll keep trying to obey you and just not reaching its target. Sully, it's true. I don't know why you're saying this sarcastically. I could ride a robo demon rhinoceros thing, I'll do it. I'll do it right now. That's not true. I actually don't like even riding horses. I'm very scared of horses. And if you want to know why, I might tell you if I remember after this game. Otherwise, we'll send you over to Tequila Sunset if he's still streaming. Rarely one or two skinks in like Medusa buffs ages ago. Yeah. So here, Khorne has taken position on the point, which is quite nice. And now these Khorne Gores are braced, trying to wait for any Bretonnians to charge them. And the Bloodwake Berserkers, you can see, are not on the front line. They don't want to take the charge. They want the charge defense Khorne Gores to take it, and then they're going to run in afterwards and get some extra damage out. There they go, immediately running in afterwards. That's beautiful. Good engagement from Bretonnia. They are getting blobbed up a little bit, and they do need to back off. They're getting that healing, but they are on fire from the Bloodwake Berserkers, applying that fire damage. So as long as the Bloodwake Berserkers tap these guys whenever an Earthblood comes in, it's going to be bad time. And Khorne's now forcing Bretonnia to stop screwing around and come fight them, because as you can see, timer's ticking up. Now, since the timer is just starting now, it takes 10 minutes of control of the point to win. So hindsight being 2020, it could have been smart for Khorne to leave like one Marauder or something on the point, but that's hindsight. How could Khorne have known the front line was going to go that amazingly for them? They didn't need that extra Marauder. How could they have known this was going to be a late game situation? I know. I'm just saying, if you're out there, maybe take some time and capture the point just in case something like this happens. Especially if you have superior infantry. Because in the late game, if it's your superior infantry versus their superior cavalry, they want time to cycle charge you. So, but Valky is currently in a 2v1. She did use Demon Shield. It protected her for a little bit, and she is sitting right on top of Khorne Gore, so this is a decent fight if she doesn't die to Alberic and Henri. So it is a bit of a gamble. It's how much damage is Valky going to take versus how much of the Khorne Gore is going to get done. As these Khorne Gores are just swinging for the fences all around them, hopefully. Still 466 value. They are not swinging currently, as they haven't gotten a single piece of value while we've been watching them. There they start to get 20, 30. Yeah, we can see it ticking up. So again, I think they got orders onto something they couldn't reach instead of just swinging at what was around them, because you saw all of a sudden they started getting a bunch of value, and I think that was when they dropped those extra orders and just fought stuff. This is looking pretty bad for Khorne at this point, as the Khorne Gores are routing off. Valky is about to die. She even shatters, but I think death is not far away. There she goes. Army losses takes out the Bloodwake Berserkers and the Khorne Gores, and I called it before the game even started. GG to Bretonnia. You can check the tapes. I did call this 75 years ago. Let's check the Skull Crusher value. What are we guessing? I'm guessing 400 and 700. 1700 and 800. I was too harsh on you guys. You did okay. You did okay. Bloodhounds of Khorne did all right. Chaos Furies did pretty well. Khorne Gores did fine. Marauders did not do very much, but oh well. Bloodwake Berserkers were chilling. Valky was chilling. But those numbers are not as high as they need to be because you're against a healing faction in Bretonnia, so you actually have to get more value than normal because you're not fighting a 1200 gold army. You end up fighting like a 1500 gold army just because of how much HP you have to churn through. Grail Knights both did very well. Capans Quinels did fine, and then Alberic and Henri carried the game. Gordon Ramsay will win this tournament. Congratulations, Fish. Well played too to get to finals. Reppin' Khorne. But it's never a bad time to see Henri Le Massif win. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You can either go right now, check out Tequila Sunset. Is he still casting? Is he still casting? Let's check. I just don't want to send you somewhere if it's already over. Because you have two options. You can go watch Tequila Sunset, be a super badass, and cast some domination stuff, or you can hang out here and listen to my dumb story of why I'm scared of horses, and then I'll send you to Tequila Sunset anyway to raid him. That's not that thing. Hold on. That was the lobby code I was just in. Copy link address, bam. All right, so there's that. All right, why am I scared of horses? So here's the thing. There's two versions of the story. There's my version, and there's someone else's version. So I have this cousin who used to babysit me and my brother a lot, and she lives out on a farm, which we used to be country lads. So we went out to the farm a lot of weekends and whatever while my mom was doing night school. My parents were divorced, so dad wasn't around. And one time she's trying to teach us to ride horses. I'm in like 2nd grade, so I'm a pretty young kid. And she puts me up on this horse. And as I remember it, the horse is walking around. And Nicole's got, you know, the reins and stuff. And we're walking around. It's fine. And I think this is cool, but I'm really high up. And then something spooks the horse. The horse rears up. I fall off. And I break my shoulder. Okay. That's my version of the story. After that, I don't like horses. I don't want to ride horses. I'm fine being near horses. Like, I'll pet a horse. I'll hug a horse. I just don't want to ride a horse. I don't want to be that high up on an animal that could rear up at any moment and break my shoulder again. So that was in 2nd grade, and I was scared of horses, and that was my version of the story until I was like 24. And we were at Thanksgiving with my family, and someone brought up horses, and I said, I don't like horses, and they asked me why, and I told that story at the Thanksgiving table, and I was like, yeah, there's that. And Nicole, my cousin, who was babysitting me at the time, goes, that's not what happened. And I go, oh, do tell. And I'm not surprised, because 2nd graders get stories wrong a lot. So I was like, I'm curious what did happen with this thing. And she says, well, I was walking around with you on the horse, and I said, Austin, grab its neck. Austin, you have to hold on. Grab its mane, grab anything. As I was just a 2nd grader, just sitting there apparently with my hands at my side looking around. And she's like, you need to hold on, like, in some way. So she's just talking to me, and their farm dog comes over, and it just comes over. It doesn't surprise the horse. It just comes over. So the horse turns to look at it, and that turning to look at it raised one of its shoulders. So now I'm off kilter, and I start slowly sliding. So the 2nd grade kid is just slowly sliding off the horse, and Nicole is watching me with her hands on her hips. She's like, grab the horse, grab the horse. You gotta grab it. And I was just like, huh? And I look over at her, and I just slide off the horse, land directly on my shoulder, and break my shoulder. So the reason I'm scared of horses, which I still am, the reason I'm scared of horses is because my dumbass just sat on one and decided, I'll just fall. I'll just fall. It turned slightly, it's over for me. I can't possibly stop this from happening. I just like that image though. Of just that little kid just like slowly sliding more sideways as he's just watching it happen. Like, what do I do? Eyes wide open, just like, what do I do? I don't know. Grab the fucking horse. Yeah. But again, I'm not scared of horses like being near horses. Horses are sick. I can feed them. I love hanging out with them, brushing them. Because my grandma had horses, my cousins have horses. I've been around horses. I just am scared of riding horses. I don't want to ride horses. I don't like being that high up. I don't like not having agency. Does Grace also have these moments with you? Not as many, but they're around. All right, there's the horse story. There's the stream for the day. Hopefully you guys had some fun. And I will redirect you now to Tequila Sunset stream. He is streaming some domination from the same tournament host. I don't believe it's new player domination, though. I believe it is sweaty tryhard domination. Even if you're not into domination, he does cast a lot of conquest and land battle stuff. So maybe check out some of his other content. Or at least go and say Human Boy says hi, so that he knows I did my job and rated him. I used to teach horse riding to kids, and the slowly slide aside definitely a thing that happens. Yep. Yep. Now tell us the horse's version. The horse's version is Nala came up to me, I looked at Nala, and then all of a sudden a kid was crying. That's all the horse knew, because the horse wasn't paying attention. Stupid horse.